Welcome in everyone to the very first episode of Open Mic. My name is Mike Carlson, and what this weekly show is going to do, what we hope it accomplishes, is pulling back the curtain on a lot of different things. Pulling back the curtain on entrepreneurship and what is it like truly to start a business. There's a lot of stories out there, I think, of people who talk about we had a great product and all of a sudden we had people selling it, but there's a lot that goes into even having an idea, getting something manufactured, and then even making that first sale. There's so much that goes in there. So we're going to talk a lot about what's the process look behind that. And we're going to do that through the lens of projects that I'm working on, that I'm a part of, and talk to a lot of really other exciting people who are working on similar projects like that. Now, as the name implies as well, we're going to be not just talking about that. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of other things, sports, business, pop culture. We're gonna talk about it all. Whatever really is going on, is trending. We're gonna have that component to this as well because it's fun. It's a blast to talk about those things. I wanted to create something that was a reflection of my life, and it's not just about the business entrepreneurship side of things. There's also an element of sports to it. There's an element of pop culture. So in doing something every week, I figured why not, build something where you can talk about all those things. Like I said, we're still going to talk about the process of launching these different projects, starting a business, working on a business, entering into the business world. But we're also going to talk about a whole lot of other fun stuff. We're going to bring on different guests. I'll bring on some family members, people that I know, people that I met while I was a graduate student at Babson and an undergraduate student at Mizzou. And as the name implies, it's an open mic here. We're going to be talking about it all. We're going to be documenting it all, and we're going to dive deep into all of it. So with that, probably should bring you up to speed on what is going on. What are the different projects, ventures that are being started right now, especially now that we're in quarantine, and really what's working. And the first thing, it's something that I was fortunate enough to get a start with at Babson, and that company is called Topform. So Topform, it's a shooting device that provides instantaneous feedback to youth basketball players so that whenever they get in the correct shooting position, they'll hear a sound, and then when they fall through correctly, they'll hear a sound. And that's been something where it was started my second semester at Babson, so about a year and a half ago, and has continued on through post-graduation and into today. There's also this really cool product that I'm working on with two of my best buddies at Babson, and that is Anchor Health and Fitness. And what that is, it's a, if you can imagine a cable machine, that's been shrunk down to, about the size of something you can hold in your hands. It's really cool. It's really fascinating too, because it's revolutionary in terms of there's not anything like it. It's not like buying bands where maybe with bands you're getting that stretch motion out, but then kind of a looser resistance coming back. It's a true cable machine experience, in that you're going to get resistance pretty much the whole way through your workout. And it's a really great product. They're getting ready to launch. They're doing pre-orders right now. What I do there is I manage a lot of the media, the social media, any of our content efforts, anything like that. And that's what I'm a part of there. I'm not one of the two founders, but I guess I'm employee number one in that they let me run any of the media, and I do a lot of the creation. So that's one of the really exciting projects that I'm working on, and that'll be really, really exciting to talk about. And then the other two are personal projects that started during quarantine as a way to just fill the day, because you can only watch so many community reruns or office reruns on Netflix. And the first one it's called Homecoming, and it's a super simple premise. It's really great graphic tees. It's tees that are sourced from high quality brands like Champion, which is just white hot right now, like Alternative Apparel, and we put a great graphic on it. It's that simple. We do stuff ranging from pop culture to roots being Colorado, where my home state is. So beautiful pictures of mountains on the back of these shirts, and really very colorful graphics on the front. We also do a lot of West Coast stuff because the West Coast is the best coast in my humble opinion, and we love to celebrate that. In-N-Out Burger, all of that super fun stuff. And then we're also, into very simple motto tees as well. So it's, a t-shirt with literally a word or two across the chest, and It's something that works really well and can be paired really well with anything. It can be dressed up, with something like a blazer, or even dressed down with something like this hood. And it's just a really exciting kind of fun concept, and something that has been done on larger scales in bigger retailers, but not really on a very small, lean scale. So we're excited to be working on that. And then the other one is a very, very kind of small one right now. It's called Off the Bench, and what it does is it takes salesman samples and it resells them at a fairly affordable price. And that a lot of these samples, they are just stuff that salesmen take with them. They show the line to a buyer, and then the buyer essentially picks the ones they want. You throw on a graphic if it's for this or that. We don't want this, but we want this embroidered on there, or we want it in this color or that color. But then once the booking season is over, these salesman samples, they just kind of collect dust. They don't have a home. They don't have anywhere to go. And what we do is we take those salesman samples, we list them, we house them on our website, we take on that inventory, and then we sell them at a super affordable price, because not everyone can afford a $70 quarter zip from a bigger box website or a bigger box store. But some people may be able to afford a $35 quarter zip. But the catch with that, though, is that all the artwork is unique, and everything is really a one of one. So men are normally sampled in size large, women in size small. Sometimes get some mediums mixed in there. So that's the trade-off, is that if you're not a size large in a quarter zip, it's kind of tough. But if you are a size large in a quarter zip, then you can buy it really affordable, and it's a one-of-one design as well, which is really cool, because it's a sample that people are taking with them. So that is just a super fun little small project we're working on as well. And then this is just a fun way to update and document the process, because like I said, there's just so much that happens from point A of having an idea to point B of really starting to build that idea, to getting your first sale, and then even beyond that. And what I've kind of seen as a aspiring entrepreneur, I'm definitely not an expert, not a full-fledged entrepreneur yet, very much still aspiring, is that you hear a lot about the very first part of it. You hear a little bit about kind of building the idea, but then you don't hear about how we got the first sale, what drove the first sale. You kind of hear, we made the first sale, and then we went on a rocket ship and took off. And what I wanted to do with something like this, in addition to just having a lot of fun and talking about a variety of topics, was really color that process in, color in those gaps, and see what does it look like, not only on a week by week basis, but then compound it over to a month by month basis. So we're really excited to take you along on the journey, whether it's the guys at Anchor, my two other co-founders with Topform, or the stuff we're doing here with amongst the three siblings, amongst my younger brother and younger sister, and the homecoming and off the bench stuff we're working on as a unit. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think with that it's appropriate to jump right into the first kind of set of documenting stuff. So with Anchor, for us this first week of documenting things, we were really lucky on Memorial Day to kind of have a viral TikTok. It was super interesting. It was one of those things where I went out and filmed it after lunch with my younger brother Andrew, who's helping with a lot of the media, and we show up, took 30 minutes whatever to put it together, ended up posting it later in the afternoon, went downstairs to watch a movie and to unwind and get a little rest on Memorial Day, and the next thing I know, I flip on my phone, and 2 hours later it's passing 10,000 views. By dinner time, it was up to 30,000 views, and then by that night, it was up above 50,000, 55,000 views. And the real kicker to that was we were driving people to the website as well, which was really exciting. We had over 100 plus people go to the website, and it's no one converted to buy anything, but the act of kind of brand building like that, we felt was super valuable, and we absolutely felt lucky to go viral. Since then, though, we've been trying to recreate that magic, and it hasn't happened yet, which I think is super interesting, and I think could be its own separate episode of this, of what is the science, the algorithm of going viral somewhere. I know there's a lot of people who have, you know, devoted their entire business lives to it. But what does that look like? And that's something that we're definitely trying to figure out, and we're figuring it out iteratively. But for us, it's just about, you know, putting a lot of content out there, and really just seeing what sticks and what works. And we're going to keep doing that. And then, you know, with the other part of the business, and kind of working towards that pre-order launch date, it's been about finding, you know, who our first buyer is. I think a lot of people talk about, you have a target customer who's your ideal customer, who you want, you know, once you get to, you know, past the first 10, 100, 1,000 sales. But I think a lot of people ignore who the very first customer could be. And that first customer probably isn't going to be your target customer. And that's something that we learned this week as well, is that, you know, with a fitness product, or with really any product, there's a difference between those two people. You know, your target group is your group that, like I said, you're going to market to, you know, a year from now, you know, 1,000 sales from now. But that first customer is the group that is going to take a chance on your product. And these are, you know, people who are very innovative. Maybe they're open to this stuff. And that's something that we've been wrestling with this week from a strategy perspective of, you know, who does that person look like? You know, why do we think they look like that? And then on top of that, how can we reach them? And how can we, you know, not only, you know, sell to them in the sense that, you know, we want to get them behind the product, but sell to them in the sense that, you know, we want them to purchase stuff, or to be that first purchase, to be that first domino to fall. And that's been, I think, a really interesting thing for us to tease out. It definitely, you know, wasn't something that was, you know, directly taught. I think in a lot of classes, I think you focus on the target customer, and I think that's good. But you also need to, you know, look at who's your very first customer going to be, because they're going to be different people. They're going to be people who are open to new ideas, who are open to looking at new products. And normally that's not with the target group, who's a little bit more mass market focused. So that's just been a really interesting process for us to go through, and to really tease out of, you know, do you build from the bottom up? Do you look at, you know, people at the, you know, who's your average gym goer, and you try to do something more grassroots? Do you look at something more top down, where maybe you want, you know, trainers and, you know, who are best in the world in these specific categories, and you want to market to them, or first sell to them, so that they can then, you know, sell to people who are part of the mass market? Or is it a combination of both? Or are you targeting people, you know, maybe in the middle of that? So it's been a really fun thing to do. And I think for us, the challenge with that as well is trying to also keep costs low. I mean, we don't want to run a bunch of Facebook ads or Instagram ads, we want to run, you know, we want to be efficient with that money and really spend it well. So it's like I said, it's been a super cool thing to tease out. And I think it's been a really great learning with this process. And it's something that, you know, I definitely know I'll take with me, you know, as I keep moving forward on this really fun journey. And then with Topform, I think the biggest thing is, you know, we're starting our beta tests here soon. We just wrapped up our alpha test, and an alpha test, you know, what we're learning is that it's the kind of the bare minimum of a test. It's, does the thing work? Does it look good? And does it function the way we want it to? And if it can do all of those things, you know, we call that the alpha test. And if it passes that, then it's something that then can go out into the wild, so to speak, as a beta test. And the beta test is meant to dig deeper a little bit more. And the real reason you do the alpha test is so that you can get rid of any other kind of noisy feedback you would get, because what you're trying to figure out with a beta test is, you know, what are the, you know, lower level, concerns in that, you know, how does it feel? How does it look? What do you like about it as a customer? What do you think could be improved about it? And would you even purchase it, being one of those questions as well? And you can't dive into that if all someone is talking about is, well, I don't like the sound that it makes, or it doesn't turn on properly, or it doesn't even work, period. So the alpha tests were just wrapped up, so that was really exciting. The beta tests are going to start here soon. And with that, it's really about, you know, all things equal with functionality of this instantaneous feedback shooting device that we're going to be doing. Would you purchase it? What does that look like? With parents, are you, you know, who are, you know, if we're marketing to, our target market is youth athletes. With parents, you know, what does your buying process look like as well? In addition to this, if your kid brings something like this to you and really likes it, you know, what are your buying criteria? And then working from that beta test to then hopefully, starting the process over again of looking at, okay, if that's our target group, then who's our first customers as well? Because like I said, they're going to be different groups, and that's something that we're learning throughout this process. And I'm not an expert in any of this. And like I said, part of the reason we're doing this is to document what it's like to go from someone who's not an expert, who's still learning, to becoming an expert. And what does that look like? What do those steps look like? What are the positives and the negatives with that? And I think that bridges nicely into what we've been working on with Homecoming. It's how do you create content around your product when it's not here yet? I mean, we're looking at some longer lead times due to the COVID outbreak. And while we are taking pre-orders, definitely want to stay relevant on everyone's Instagram and social feeds. So, how do you get content out there about your product without actually having anything to wear, to model, to shoot? And I think for us, the one thing we've been learning this week is it's a lot about looking at, some of the content that links higher to your why. Your why being, why do you exist? What is the thing that makes you you and makes your company, it goes from we're selling t-shirts to we want to sell t-shirts and apparel that makes you feel like home. And that's been the thing for us that we've been doing is we're putting out a lot of stuff around, positivity. We're introducing slowly some of our collections, and then just showcasing, our home as well. And that, taking beautiful pictures of Denver, Colorado and putting those out there, or doing stuff, what else feels like home in that, maybe it's recipes, or maybe it's, music or playlists or different movies, and developing content around those kind of sideways lateral things that feel like home, and just putting that out as much as we can until we can get the product in and can start, having people model it, style it, different things like that. So that way, I think would be another big learning this week is, when you're trying to figure out what kind of content to put out, and maybe your product isn't in yet, maybe it's, you're starting pre-orders and there's a long lead time. It's a great moment, I think, to go back and to look at your why, and to look at your company's mission, or, whatever your project's mission is, and then start kind of seeing, okay, if that's the mission, then what are the things that technically fall under that mission? Not even technically, what are the things that naturally fall under that mission, and going from there. And I think it's part of the learning process, and it presents a super unique challenge, and then it should allow you to be set up nicely so that when everything is here, when product is ordered, when it has arrived, you're able to not only have built up a presence on social media, on whatever media platforms, whatever kind of content you're developing, but you're able to at the same time supercharge that as well now that you actually have the product there. So that's been a really fun thing. And then finally, with Off the Bench, I think the big thing for us to tease out is with people maybe not buying as much, or maybe with schools not being in session and still really up in the air, how do you reach customers in a way that's not a direct sell, but also allows them to hear your message? Because we feel like we're providing a great value, but at the same time, I understand someone who maybe their alma mater is not going to be going back into session or in the fall, or maybe they're going online, or maybe football season isn't looking so great as far as an outcome. And how do you still get your message across in a way that's like I said, not that direct sell, but still explains the value of your product? And that's something that, to be honest, we're working on and we're figuring out, and hopefully we can have an update on it next week. But it's a really exciting thing, I think, to tease out, and it's part of the process, because with this, it's never really a straight line. That's the one thing I can tell you for sure, is that in my experience and working with all of this, is that it is never a straight line. It's never A, B, C, we're going to move that way and we're done. It's a lot of, this is what we think works, and then it's a lot of detours and a lot of ups and downs. It all connects at some point when you look back on it, but it's a lot of meandering to get there. So like I said, hopefully we'll have an update on that next week. But really, to wrap up before we jump into an interview, is really just wanted to kind of provide 3 things we're learning, 3 things that are part of our process. Like I said, definitely not an expert, definitely not someone who's going to stand up here and tell you what to do. I think the most valuable thing at the end of the day is just to show you kind of our process, show you what we're learning about through that process. And then if you like stuff, great. If you don't like stuff, that's totally fine as well. It's different for everyone. And I think the first thing to look at is the fact that your first customer is not your target customer a lot of the time. Again, sometimes it can be, but a lot of the time the first person you're going to sell to is going to be someone who maybe is a little more innovative, a little more open to these ideas, to a new idea, a new product, a new something. And then you use that person kind of as a bridge to then get to that that larger customer base, that target customer base that your product was truly meant for. And I think, part of that as well is your first customer. If you think someone's your first customer, they may not be your first customer. And really the only way to figure that out is to try things out and to talk to those people. So that's something that I think through Anchor we've learned is that, we had an idea of this would be our first customer. It wasn't necessarily our first customer. And then now we have a better idea of, okay, we for sure know this is our first customer. We're in the process of working with those first customers to then get us, like I said, over that bridge to the target group, to the target customer, to our ideal customer, in our minds. And I think the other thing with, one of the other key learnings from this, number 2 on the list, we'll do 3, is that you always got to do an alpha test before you do a beta test. Beta tests are about digging deep. It's about looking at things that are not surface level. They're 2, 3, 4 levels below the surface. That's where your learnings are going to be. That's where the important ones are. So being able to do an alpha test and just debug everything, make sure that functionality works, the product works, the whatever works, the prototype works, it's functional, so that you can eliminate that noise for sure. And like I said, really drill down into the deeper stuff. So that was, I think, an important thing. And then I think the final thing is it's about trying to figure out ways to still put out a lot of content, maybe when your product isn't here. And I think, like I said, the solution to that is looking at what's the mission, what is the broader, what's your why, to quote the Simon, Sinek TED Talk, and what are the things that naturally fall under that why. And like I said, for Homecoming, whose mission is, we want to, curate, create, design apparel that feels like home. It's looking at, okay, so if, clothing is something that feels like home, what are other things that feel like home? Is it, movies? Is it music? Is it food? Is it places? Is it things? And starting to see that and then develop content around that. So those are, I would think, the 3 learnings. To summarize, we're looking at, your first customer and your target customer are going to be different people. You got to do an alpha test before you do a beta test to make sure that you can really drill down into the important learnings that a beta test has. And then I think the third one is, it's whenever you don't have your product, maybe it's delayed because of what's going on in the world, or just because of regular things, life happens, taking a step back, developing that mission if you haven't, and then thinking what other stuff naturally fits under that mission. And then, that should give you a decent amount of runway to then, put stuff out there until, that product eventually does show up. So with that, we'll jump into the interview here. The first guest, my very first guest, is going to be someone who I greatly admire. He's someone I look up to, someone who, has taught me everything, to this point that I've learned, and inspired me to be an aspiring entrepreneur. Like I said, not quite there yet. We're still learning and still becoming, that person, but someone who really lit that fire in me, and that would be my dad, Chris Carlson. So we're going to sit down with him. We're going to talk about a wide variety of things. We're going to go deep into, I think, golf, probably food, whatever. It's open mic. We're going to just document and talk about everything that we can think of, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, we'll go to Chris. Take it away. So here we are, first interview, first episode of Open Mic, and I wanted to bring on someone who I think is great, who I aspire to be one day, and that person is my dad, Chris Carlson.
I'm going to Venmo you that money right now. That was a great intro. So you're covered on this one. That'll be the Michael Carlson.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, thanks for coming on.
Hey, I'm happy. I'm happy to be on your show.
This is cool. I know. It's. I don't know if I call you Dad or do I call you Chris or.
It's your show. You can call me whatever you want to call me. So
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Whatever you like.
Well, that's great. Well, like I said, great to have you on here. As I've told you, and kind of brainstorming a lot of this, and as I've told to you, the viewers, the listeners, it's called Open Mic. So we're going to talk about anything and everything. And I think a good starting point is tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, and how you got here today.
Well, first off, I want to know, is the hood the uniform? Because that's what I really want to know. If the hood is the uniform. I was told to wear a hood, so I'm wearing a hood.
The hood is the uniform. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I know.
I want to make sure the full zip.
I know. I'm just glad that we didn't wear the same color hood, or else that would have looked bad.
I want to make sure the hood is the uniform because I want to make sure that I'm on par with the uniform.
Well, you are.
The dress code.
You are. Yeah.
All right, official dress code, the hood. So introducing me. Well, it's a tough one, but I actually am Chris Carlson.
Great.
So that's
You've said your name about 5 times now.
Yeah, that's good. So, well, this is open mic with Mike, so I figured we're repeating a lot of stuff, is what I figured. So, yeah, I am currently the West Coast manager for sales for Gear for Sports, which is has a nice portfolio of sportswear brands that we represent in the collegiate industry. And from Champion to Under Armour to Alternative Apparel, Gear for Sports, Comfort Wash, so lots of neat, fun brands too. And other than that, I just really specialize on my resume. I always make sure I put down your dad.
Hey,
so that's what I always
appreciate
put down
that.
on the resume. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. And then I think the one thing you're leaving off, and I don't know if you're doing it to be humble or just because you forget about it because you haven't been doing it a ton, but amateur golfer.
I do. That's my one hobby.
One hobby
outside of being a dad.
Yes,
and selling T-shirts.
Exactly.
My one hobby is definitely playing a little amateur golf and competing. It's always fun to compete.
Yeah.
Always fun to get a chance to go out there and test yourself against other players.
Yeah.
And, prepare. And I've been fortunate. Golf's been in our family, as you know, for generations.
Yep.
My father, your grandfather, being a golf professional, taught me the game and paid for me to go to college on a golf scholarship. So I've wanted to keep, kind of keep that going. Now Andrew, your brother,
my younger brother, who we'll have on as a guest at some point too.
At some point in time, that'll be a train wreck. But can you beep out stuff?
We're gonna tell. I think I have it marked as explicit.
Do you have a 7-second delay?
I have it marked as explicit just in case, as a backup on any of that stuff.
You're gonna need that, and you're gonna need a 7-second.
Okay, I think you're right.
But great game. I think it's the greatest game. And again, so much you can learn from people with playing the game. Learn so much about people in those 4 hours that you're with them, character-wise. A lot of great things, again, for a kind of especially like a fast friendship and playing golf. There's no better sport for it. So,
totally. Yeah. And I think you hit on that really well. What things have you learned, from playing golf? I think we talk about, sports as a teacher for life. Are there any lessons that have stood out, that you've brought into your personal life, your business life, professional life, any of that stuff, from golf? What are some things you've learned kind of throughout that process?
Oh, absolutely. I think sports in general is fantastic for kids. It in my opinion, sports is that whether it's a 60-minute game or whether it's like golf and it's a 4-hour game. I think that it's a great metaphor for life. You kind of, in that 60 minutes or in that 4 hours of golf or 4 quarters of football, you have ups and downs, you have challenges. So it compresses it into a smaller time frame, but the message and the persistence and the perseverance is still all the same. But you just, again, it's compressed into a smaller time frame. So there's a lot you can learn from it. And golf's certainly one of those, because I never played a round of golf that, I never hit, 18 perfect shots. It's not possible. There's 18 holes, and you know what? You're going to have a lot of ups and downs in those holes, and you've got to weather it. You've got to come back from, adversity. And so that's what it teaches you. And believe it or not, there's a lot of pride in the fact that if you do well and you do kind of weather a storm and you come back and maybe you birdie the last couple holes, or maybe you just hang on for dear life the last few holes, those are things that you can take into real life. And again, it's what I think is so great about sports in general for any kids to learn or play. And it doesn't have to be professional. Doesn't have to be even really good amateur. It just needs to be about the experience, and then kind of for the parent, the coach, the child to connect those dots and then kind of understand what they learned.
So for sure. And you've played at I mean, all the different levels, and what for you was, what was your favorite level to play at, and where did you, I think, learn the most? Was it was it as a junior golfer where maybe you're learning just the ins and outs, but where what level of golf sticks with you as maybe the most impactful, where you learned a ton? Is there any that stick out, or is it just kind of one big round? It's one big song, man. It's one big round of golf.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, junior golf is obviously great. You're young, but a lot of times you're learning in junior golf, and you're learning to control your emotions, which is a huge part of golf, which is tough to do at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, obviously your body's changing. You're going through different things in your life as a teenager. So, when you put golf into that, it's complicated. Yeah. Because you're trying to do your best. I would probably say college golf was probably, in my opinion, the best 4 years. Because you know what, it's college sports, and if you're blessed and fortunate enough to go and have a college scholarship and compete, I always tell people I felt like I had the best scholarship on the planet. I got paid to go to school to play golf. So every day after class, that's what I did. I went to a golf course and I played. I used to have kind of a running joke with some of the football players and some of the other athletes that I'd see down at the stadium while I was not weightlifting and they were weightlifting, that I was pretty much going to grab a Coke and a hot dog at the turn and maybe a Snickers on the back nine.
Only if you're feeling crazy.
Right, because I want to make sure I kept my energy level up. In the meantime, they're doing power sit-ups, push-ups, a lot of weight work. So, a good little ribbing there. Now, golf obviously is very much evolved now. The guys you see today that play golf, back when I played college golf in the 80s, fitness was not really a thing. I mean, I did keep our coach kept us in shape, probably a little bit more cardio than, because you had to walk, than strength. But as we've kind of found out now through the Tiger Woods of the world, fitness is incredibly important. Flexibility is incredibly important. And you're realizing that golfers are really great athletes. And they need to be to compete at the highest level. So, amateur golf is fun. It's actually a great time. A little different vibe than college, because it's generally guys that haven't, that decided not to turn pro. You maybe played in college. In some cases, guys have turned pro, and they've got their amateur status back. So there's a couple of those guys out there. But golf's a great game because, holy cow, you can go play Pebble Beach where the U.S. Open was played. It's like playing baseball in Yankee Stadium. So that's what's great about the game. And my dad always told me, though I didn't turn pro and chose not to, the biggest reason was, you can do a lot in golf, even if you're not playing on the PGA Tour. So it's just a matter of the time you put in and the input and the effort you give allows you those. If you want to play in the Masters, you need to go win the United States Amateur. So you got to win the United States Mid Amateur. But if you want to play it, there's an avenue to do it. You just have to work to get there.
I think that's a great thing about golf as a sport. I don't golf at all.
No, we've seen your swing. Actually, you should show your viewers your swing.
We won't do that. We're gonna have
Top golf will never ever be the same. There's never ever be the same Top golf.
But I think he hit it on the head really nicely in that if you want to go play pro baseball, there's 7, 8, 9, 10 hurdles that you got to get over. You got to go to a good college. You got to get drafted. You got to do all this other stuff where. If you want to go play Masters level golf, like you have to be good, and I think there's a certain level of that, but it is fairly open in that if you qualify for the U.S. Amateur and do well at the Amateur, then you can get to the Masters. And again, those are cases that are few and far between, but it's very much the amateur to I think pro level is incredibly accessible relative to other sports, obviously.
Yeah, because honestly, I told you guys growing up, if you want to take the last shot, you want to take the first shot, you need to play a sport like golf that's individual. Because then when the pressure's on and the clock's down to 9 seconds, you're taking the shot. Team sports are a little bit more subjective, right? So you got a coach that basically has to make the determination that, John over here, he's my clutch hitter, and it's, the bottom of the ninth, and, you're either trying to get him to the plate or, You have a pinch hitter that's a good pinch hitter.
Yeah.
So you want to get him to the play. I mean, however it is, it's subjective. So golf is, you get what you get. What I love about it is different from other sports is, what you earn is you've truly earned.
Yeah.
So, Tiger Woods, if he goes out and has a bad year, he's not going to make the $10 million that he made the year before.
Exactly.
So in a lot of ways, that's really fascinating because in baseball, you can get these big contracts, and same with football. And people can have horrible years, and they still get paid the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Golf's not that way. Golf is truly what you put into it is what you get out of it. And that, I think, is what makes it a great game. So, again, there's no reason for a Justin Thomas or a Jordan Spieth or Ricky Fowler to ever complain because if they play bad, they're just not going to win.
Exactly.
And they're not going to win enough money.
And
that's what I love about it is it really is reflective to how you perform.
Yeah.
Truly. You're paying some guy $10 million a year in baseball, and he's 0 for 4 in the World Series. He's still getting his paycheck.
Exactly, yeah.
He's still getting it, but that's the risk you're on.
Exactly. And there was I think I was listening to a great interview with Max Homa, and that was the thing that he was a mental hurdle for him to get over, is that when you're golfing, there's a dollar value on how you're playing. Like sponsorships, everything like that aside, like some years you're an $800,000 player, some years you're a $1.3 million player, some years you're a $10 million player.
Sure.
But those things are tied very, very closely, and it's not like you said, the Mike Trouts, the Bryce Harpers of the world who, you strike out 4 times, you hit 4 bombs, you're making $25-30 million no matter what.
Right.
And I think that's the more we talk about it, it's a tough mental hurdle to put such a concrete number, I think, on your performance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. And in all fairness to those players, I mean, they get signed. I mean, that's the risk, right? So you have the risk of signing a Mike Trout or a Bryce Harper. I mean, that's the risk you run. And that's the risk of management and baseball and finances. And because you are betting that when it's 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th, you've paid this guy $10 million, and in some cases that's pretty low. $25 million, you're banking that he's going to hit. That's a lot of money to put on a pitch.
Yeah.
And a lot of money to put on a situation. But that's what you pay him, the old saying, what do you pay the big bucks for?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what you pay the big bucks for. But golf is different. I mean, golf is purely, again, you're taking the first shot, the last shot, you got the 3-footer under pressure. There's no sub in. There's nobody to tap out. There's nobody to give you, a chance. I mean, it's you. You're the only one that can give you a chance.
Exactly. So. And I think, kind of pivoting away from that, you grew up in a unique situation, and you've told us kids about this all the time, in that your dad was a pro, Grandpa Terry Carlson, and, I mean, you pretty much just, grew up on a golf course. You learned, directly from him. You had that kind of direct line, whereas other people, it's like, well, I just went out to the range a bunch as a kid or other stuff. So what was that like? I mean, not only seeing your dad every day, I guess it's kind of like how we're working in quarantine, where I'm seeing you every day. We're working through a bunch of different kind of business stuff every day, but very much in close contact. What was that like, from a golf perspective? What did you like? What were some of the moments that you didn't like as much? Because I think it's a unique thing, and a lot of fathers teaching their sons sports.
Yeah, no, it is. It's, first I would always say, first and foremost, it was a blessing. I mean, it's a unique situation, but it's very much a blessing. But with advantages like that comes some situations. So if I didn't play well, it was always kind of like, what's wrong with you? If I did play well, he was supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think, because his dad's a golf pro.
Yeah.
And he gets lessons at the dinner table.
Yeah.
The breakfast table. Probably what a lot of people didn't realize, truly, a lot of people don't realize, again, with Grandpa being more of a club pro, I would go to the course with him in the morning, and I'd practice and play, but, Grandpa didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with me as far as, personally, like at those, again, we would maybe play 9 holes at night.
Yeah.
I would get some tips at the dinner table. Yeah, I'd get some tips at the breakfast table. And truly, I have everything I, quite honestly, have in golf, I owe to him. And I've had some other teachers during parts of my life because, Grandpa at some point thought, hey, I've taken him as far as I can take him,
Yeah.
or you need a different perspective, you need a different thought, which we all do at certain times. But 95% of what I've learned and where I am today is due to Grandpa.
Yeah.
The other 5% and the other couple teachers that I've had in there, mixed in there, have given me kind of a good,
Yeah.
a good blend of new information.
Yeah.
But I learned the game obviously from Grandpa. So, again, I would say 100% it's a fortunate situation, but it does make. I mean, there definitely were times as a kid growing up. You have times
Yeah.
where he's trying to be a parent and authoritarian, and then he's also trying to mentor me in golf. And, that's a pretty tough line to juggle when
Definitely.
your dad's your coach.
Yeah.
That's not an easy, and again, be lying to say there weren't challenging times.
Definitely.
There were. I grew up and started to have my own opinions and thoughts of how to play the game.
Yeah.
And then even how to live my life.
Yeah.
you end up in conflict probably a little bit more than you hope.
Exactly.
But in a lot of ways you got to flip that over and say, okay, well, you got to communicate more. It forces you to do other things to make sure you don't get stuck in that mud.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, this is going to be a terrible segue. So it just shows you again that we're learning.
Okay.
But just to pivot from golf to, you do the golf thing. You go to Murray State. You do great. You have a lot of fun. And then how do you end up, coming out of Murray State, into your position that you're in right now as a, someone who's, director of sales and stuff like that? Because I can imagine it's not a straight line.
No, and it never is. Not for any college graduate. I don't think for any college graduate it's a straight line at all. I think it's a journey. And
Yeah.
I think, if you would have asked me sophomore year in college what I thought I'd be doing in life, absolutely selling clothing probably wouldn't have been in my first 100.
Yeah.
But what happens is generally you take the journey kind of open-minded. You go out there. You need the old saying, you got to have a job to get a job. So you gotta kind of, it's like a merry-go-round, right? You gotta kind of jump on, and that's the key.
Yeah.
So it was funny. So I knew I always wanted to be in sales.
Yeah.
But the fact is, no one's gonna take someone that's not in sales.
Exactly.
Someone that has no sales experience into sales.
It's the chicken or the egg. You need
Right.
2 years of experience to apply for this entry-level job.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, that's always the famous quote, one that kind of baffles you and you scratch your head
Yeah.
at. But you know what? I actually was fortunate to, again, I think this is part of the process too. It's kind of who you know. You have to get lucky. I always say that, but you do need a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
And I think that's just. It's life. You just need to, and you need to be thankful and grateful when you get that luck. And I did get lucky with a friend of Grandpa's that was in public relations, and he offered me a job. I'd caddied for him. Again, that was kind of my job growing up, was caddying.
Yeah.
That's how I made money for school. And it's this gentleman I'd caddied for, and he had an opportunity out of college, and he offered it to me. So I graduated like May 18th and was literally downtown Chicago working in a public relations firm like June 6th. I mean, it was literally like that fast. But I was an assistant account executive. I did what every, first job person should do. I got I got coffee. I got copies.
They didn't have spreadsheets back then, so you weren't doing any spreadsheet type stuff.
No, thank God I wasn't doing any spreadsheets. That's for sure, because I would have messed those up.
Yeah.
But I was, getting coffee, getting water, making copies, sitting in meetings, taking notes. All that kind of stuff. And I think when you have that kind of, again, everybody should start there, right? You should, one of the things that Grandpa always says that I always think is true, you should be able to do all the jobs below you.
Definitely.
So, he would talk about the fact that he could clean carts. He would talk about the fact that he could pick a range. He would talk about the fact that he could clean clubs. And I think before you ask somebody to do stuff, you should have an understanding of what it is, and or maybe in a lot of ways have done it before.
Yeah.
So I started at the bottom of the barrel there, was downtown Chicago for 2 years. And honestly, I remember going to Grandpa very well, and I said, hey, look, you know what? I'm dying. I'm 23 years old or 24 years old, and I'm in a suit and tie every day.
Yeah.
I'm taking the 6:30 a.m. train downtown Chicago. Nice thing was the Cubs started to play night games at that time, so I did hit a couple Cubs games at night. which was nice. That was about third or fourth year into the, actually like third year, I think, into the Cubs games at night. So that was kind of nice. But I was taking the 6 o'clock train home, and it was a little bit like Groundhog Day. Great experience. Got to do a lot of unique things. Got to do a lot. And Al, the gentleman that had hired me, took great care of me, was always looked after me, really took time to educate me.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about public relations.
Yeah.
It actually turned out in a weird way. I think, again, you always say these things, and I do think trusting the process of life, though things aren't always clear at times. You do eventually things come into focus if you're looking for it, and you're trusting of that path. So I was fortunate. I went to Grandpa and I said, "Hey, Josh, geez, I'm dying over here. I'm taking that train down every morning." And it was all suit and ties. Yeah. And I said, would you mind if I resigned? He was a little bit shocked, and he's like, "Well, you got to have a job to get a job. What are you going to do to make money? You're not, And I said, "Good point, but I would like to look for something in sales. I can't be in an office all day. I just can't. I just got to be out with people. I want to be. I want that interaction. So Grandpa reluctantly let me resign. I was living at home at the time, so I did have a roof over my head. Thank God. No
Thank
rent.
God. Yeah.
And I told him I would caddy again. So here I was at 24 years old, back in the caddy yard. Oldest caddy in the caddy yard. No, they had some career caddies out there, but I was definitely one of the older ones.
One of the older ones,
One of the older ones in the caddy yard. So, caddied that summer.
And where did you caddy? I think you're being very humble, but I mean, you caddied at a...
Well, what I did after that is I caddied that summer at Glen Oak, and then the weather changed.
Yeah.
Grandpa said, "Okay, big boy, what's your plan now?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I obviously have to go to a club in a warm weather situation."
Yeah.
So I asked him to make a phone call. I decided that it would be fun. Some kids go to Europe when they graduate and backpack for a year.
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun to go to Southern California and caddy at Bel Air Country Club.
Yeah.
And fortunate, Grandpa knew the pro there. And I don't think Grandpa was quite sold on that that idea. But I think he also looked at it as a chance to learn a little bit about life. And so he made the phone call, and they accepted me as a caddy out there. Interesting part of the story is the word kind of spread in the caddy yard.
Yeah.
Just like you see on Caddyshack.
Exactly,
so if you watch Caddyshack, but the word kind of spread, and a couple other caddies made their way into Grandpa's office.
Oh, okay.
And said, "Hey, wow, Chris is going to Bel Air to caddy this winter.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I'm really not ready to get a job." Actually, some of them had graduated college. They were a couple years younger than I, but this was truly their backpack in Europe moment. And so they ended up also going with me.
No way.
One of them was an Evan Scholar from Northwestern, so
Yeah.
the kid was super smart. Other one was a U of I grad.
Yeah.
And so the three of us all, I think it was November 1st, piled in a car.
Yeah.
And we drove 36 hours out to LA. We got an apartment, signed a lease, got an apartment, went to the club, introduced ourselves to the staff, and we entered the caddy yard.
Wow.
And we caddied for a few months
Yeah.
before I actually, my line kind of straightened at that point in time. Grandpa was kind of thinking I might become a career caddy.
Yeah.
And I think it made him a little nervous. And he had another gentleman that had known me since I was younger, and his son was becoming the senior vice president of Champion Products and looking for sales reps.
Yeah.
So they wanted to interview me.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the job that I was, in a weird way, kind of waiting for. Not that I knew it would be Champion, but that was the opportunity.
Yeah.
Grandpa put me on a plane after a few months of caddying out at Bel Air, and I interviewed at the PGA show. And I interviewed in Rochester, New York, I believe, after that. And I was fortunate to get the job in 1993.
Yeah.
And, 27 years later, here I am.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting. So
my line straightened.
It did. Yeah, it started moving that direction. And I think, one thing that, we could do a whole show on meeting mom and the pros and cons of
That would be interesting. It would probably
that might be a good
13.
Yeah, and that might be a good his and hers. You guys show up for that. So and the pros and cons of proposing at a sporting event and all that stuff. So.
Because where else do you propose?
Because where else do you propose?
I mean,
exactly.
That's the question.
It's
if
either
you're a guy, you're going to go to a nice restaurant.
It's
and
either
propose.
Wrigley Field or
right. You got to go to an arena packed with 26,000 fans.
Yes.
You need to definitely make a scene.
Yes. So we'll save that for a whole other show because quite frankly that
is a whole other show.
That is a whole other show. It is.
Exactly.
So then you meet Mom, you have us, and then you end up you end up starting your own sales agency. I mean, that's really, what that was like. So how do you, go from, golfer, now you did the PR, you're at Champion as what I'm assuming is an in-house salesman. You're not, in the sense that you're not an independent, contractor. You're not, they take care of your own health benefits to then making the leap to being an entrepreneur. I mean, truthfully, that is what you are, and that's what it still kind of stands today with at least Mom running that side of the business.
So Champion back in the day used to start you out as a salaried employee the first year.
Yeah.
And that was basically to get you started.
Yeah.
Because when you're in sales, you don't get paid unless something ships. So it's kind of hard to start out, and depending on when you start out, so you could have no shipments.
Yeah.
At that time for Champion, which was owned by Sarah Lee, I did resort, bookstore, and teamwear. So actually I sold uniforms to coaches. So the big thing there is after that first year, ironically, weird as life has always got its curveballs, it ended up that Champion decided that they were going to make all their sales reps employees.
Okay.
So I went from being on the rookie program, the first year program of being an employee, to having my expenses covered, my health insurance, all that kind of stuff, to my second year, which I should have been independent at that time, allowed to pick up other lines, kind of form, your own kind of sales.
Your book of business, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, very good website. But what happened was they decided to try to make people corporate employees.
Yeah.
So at that time, it was a big shakeup. I started my career in Denver. But that time they transferred me to Florida. Yeah. Because that's kind of in their reshuffling. That's where they saw me fit in. So I got to call on Florida State, and eventually Miami and stuff like that as things kind of developed. But they quickly got off that. So after about a year of realizing that probably nothing motivates a salesman more than being able to make money.
Exactly.
And unlimited money.
Totally.
And that's the draw of a salesman. It's very similar to golf in a weird way. The harder you work,
there's a dollar value on your performance.
Right, there is. So you're kind of, that's what's the kind of drug of sales, is the fact that if you work hard and you do the right things, you take care of people, you take care of customers, you check those boxes, your intentions are pure, they're good, you know what? Sky's the limit. Yeah. I mean, it really is. So that's exciting, especially at a young age. That's super exciting to be able to potentially make six figures at 25 years of age. Yeah. That's quite a good living. So, when they realized the sales, I think when they realized that capping a salesman, and we had bonus plans on top of that, like you hit your bonus, you got an extra $2,000, $3,000, whatever. But really, guys could go out and theoretically hit their number, maybe sell a little bit more, and they weren't going to make much more money. Yeah, they've hit what their number, they've hit what they required for. Yeah. So some guys, I think put it in cruise control. Yeah, and I think companies see that relatively quickly, and so Sarah Lee / Champion changed that model. Yeah, and they went back to independent sales reps where you could actually pick up other lines and you could do other things, and obviously it rids them of healthcare and 401ks and all that kind of stuff. So that's, which I think truly at least in the apparel world we're in, that's the way it functions best. I think if you want to get the most out of your sales group, they really need to be independent and they really need to be they need to be driven to sell more than they could ever dream. Yeah. And have that opportunity to cash that check.
Exactly, yeah.
So, that's what kind of happened there. And then, we got the opportunity to kind of form our own agency. We actually came back to Denver, Mom and I did, And I think it was 1999,
Yeah.
beginning of 2000, we actually incorporated, took on other lines, and it was, you know, again, that was kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Is basically forming a sales agency and incorporating, and that was kind of our next step in our business. So, again, that was 21 years ago or so,
Yeah.
and you know, Carlson sales is still ticking.
Still taking. It's mom running it though now.
It
Mom.
is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I am not involved in that anymore, and she loves that.
Yeah.
And she runs her own business and does her own thing, and she likes that independent
Yeah.
streak. So I can no longer. What's the word? Get in her head.
Get in her head,
Get
yeah.
in her head.
Well, I
you
feel
know.
like, you know, you could do a whole show on, you know, meeting mom and, again, proposing in different sports events. You could do a whole series on working with your significant other. We unfortunately don't have time to do an Irishman-style video
Yeah.
here where we go 3 hours into what
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
dating your, or not dating your spouse, if you, of course, do that, but working with your spouse, which is a whole other dynamic. But, I mean, that was part of it, too.
Yeah, sure. No, sure. I mean, I would tell you, I've had a blast working with mom, but mom would be the first one to tell you and your viewers that she would never recommend working with your spouse. So evidently, I'm a drag and a problem.
Hey.
But she's ridded me of that now. Now
Yeah.
she's the old ball and chain me. I'm
Yeah.
off, and she's free to run her business and do what she needs to do to be successful. And not have to worry about my opinion or
Yeah.
even consider my opinion.
That's
so,
okay.
But that's okay. But that's part of the evolution.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that is constant is always change, obviously. So, yeah. So she, that could be that could actually be a mini-series.
Mini-series, yeah.
Mini-series would actually be an understatement. That could be a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Full on. So.
Nice. Well, so, you know, we'll got a couple more things here and then we'll wrap up. But now, you're corporate, and how is the process of, you know, being your own boss to now, you know, I shouldn't say you're now your corporate. It sounds like you're, you know, some band selling out or something like that. But you've gone from kind of the being your own boss to now working within a much larger machine. So what have you learned in that new role?
Oh, I've learned a lot. I mean, learned a ton, actually. I think that, you know, when you're working in a, you know, small business, and it's mom and I being partners, and you have the chance to, you know, you're kind of in a smaller boat, right? You can pivot quickly. You have a partner there to run ideas. It's very efficient. You know, mom and I are two different styles completely. So that's something that's, you know, I think that's one of our keys to success.
Yeah.
Because where I was really weak, mom was very strong. Mom will never say she's weak at anything, but where mom's kind of could use improvement.
Yeah.
I kind of fill that void for her.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positives in that relation. I think if we were both the same people, I think we'd probably fail. Or probably, you could even say in marriage, that's nice when you can kind of fill in the voids and kind of the open space with your partner. Same in business. So. The corporate world is a different world. I mean, I'm on a bigger boat. We're I consider myself super fortunate, super blessed to be a part of Hanes Brands, who are doing great things in the marketplace right now during this COVID-19. Very proud to work for them. But also, you know what? You're pretty safe on that big boat.
Yeah.
Big boat doesn't turn quite as quickly.
Yeah.
Though I've had some great questions from some of my reps that have asked if they by chance had a dinghy boat that could come off and go into the ocean and turn quickly. So there are some questions like that I get. But, you know, with anything in life, it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
So you have trade-offs. When I was a sales rep and part of Carlson sales, you know what? If I wanted to go play golf at Thursday afternoon because I was burnt out and tired from the week of selling appointments or having appointments selling, I could do that.
Yeah.
I can't now. That's not in my options. I have a responsibility to, you know, be available and be ready for the 24 sales reps that I'm, you know, fortunate to, you know, be responsible for and to help them be successful. Just as I would want a manager to help, you know, me be successful. So supporting them is my number one goal, and then balancing that relationship and helping Hanes be successful. So that's the ultimate balancing act.
Yeah.
the Nick Walenda.
Yeah.
It's right over the volcano. The guy's crazy. The Grand Canyon, don't even know.
No, yeah.
Forget that. Didn't he do Times Square too?
I think he did all that kind of
that
stuff.
guy's
If you can
nuts.
think of a giant thing to walk
couldn't
over.
pay me enough.
No, if you could think of a giant thing to walk over with a massive
walks over
gaping
a
hole in the
volcano?
middle, then he's done it all. I don't know how it's
even know who walks
chaos.
over
I don't even want to do
chaos.
it. That's why he does it. So we don't do it.
Yes. So my balancing act isn't quite that scary. But I think that's the balancing act that I have now got. It's not much different than being a rep. When you're a sales rep, you need to balance the customer needs with your company's needs because you need your company in business.
Yeah.
So that's really important. You've got to have that company be healthy financially. Yeah. Well, you also need your customer to be healthy financially. So where's that common ground in there?
Yeah.
And that's what you need to find. And so that's a very, very important part of the equation, a part of being successful. And you know what? I think what I've learned from that is it's easier said than done.
Totally.
Obviously. It's sometimes you have to break bad news.
Yeah.
And that's an art form in itself.
Yeah.
Breaking bad news. My personal philosophy is I always like somebody to get a little something.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's part of finding common ground and part of being a good businessman and running a healthy business. I opt for the full transparency.
Yeah.
I think, as Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you never remember what you said.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think those are good things that if you can apply them to your business, whether you're a sales rep or you're in my position, I think those are the things that really will set you apart.
Yeah.
The separators. So I think if you're that manager or you're that sales rep, I think those are the things that'll lead you down a successful road and give you the chance to maximize whatever opportunity you have in sales or in the corporate lane.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to wrap up. Unfortunately, I
this was like a 2-hour show.
I know. I wish. I hear the dog barking upstairs. So you're ready to go.
You had to bring your own water.
You had to bring your own water. I know.
I know. I thought on the set they would have water, but evidently I had to bring my own water too.
So before we wrap up, though, I want to wrap up with a little bit of rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask you 5 questions, actually.
Okay.
The name is
3 or 5?
5. The name is TBD.
Tease me with 3.
I know. I apologize. So it's 5. We're still trying to figure out the name of it. I don't know if we call it the Hot 5 or 5 questions or Open 5. I have no idea.
Fast 5.
It could be Fast 5. Yeah.
Well, I'm a marketer.
You are a marketer. So we're going to just run through these. So I'm going to do it and I'm going to ask you the question and then just say the first thing. So best burger you ever had. Best burger you ever had. That's the first one.
Oh, well, yeah, God, that's easy. In-N-Out Burger. I'm In-N-Out Burger fan, fanatic, cult member. I got all the T-shirts. I still wear them and try to look like I'm 16. That's for me. But of course, as you know, I'm a very plain eater. Extremely boring person.
Yeah.
So I like just cheese, meat, and bun. So the number 2, single cheese plain.
Perfect.
And, sometimes I get the fries well done. Sometimes I get them regular. And then I usually get a lemonade light.
Gotcha.
I'm an old man, and when you're old, you got to literally watch your calories.
Yeah. Okay, so next one. Quick one. Best shot you ever hit in a golf match?
Oh, wow. I would tell you probably the best match was during the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. I was fortunate as a sophomore to win the OVC, and I remember going on the 18th hole, 215-yard par 3. I had a couple stroke lead, and it's over water, and the green kind of sits at a little bit of an angle, and I hit a 4-iron right in the middle of the green.
Nice.
2-putted, won the tournament. But to say I was nervous, obviously I still remember it to this day. I was extremely nervous because I had visions of, flaming out and, chunking it in the water. So,
well, first of all, nuts for that. Okay, from bad to worst shot you ever hit.
I think when I was goes back to my junior golf days, and again, it's something I remember, so I'm giving you my knee-jerk reactions. I was playing in the PGA Junior Championship of Illinois. It was at St. Charles Country Club, and it was like an 8 or a 9-iron over a par 3 over water, and I was playing pretty well, but I was nervous.
Yeah.
But again, if I recall, I was probably 10, 11, 12. I was somewhere in there of that range, and I remember I think I hit like 4 balls straight in the water. Just kept chunking them in the water.
Yikes.
My mom was over to the side. I think she turned her head. God, I don't blame her. She couldn't, who wants to look and watch that? I was a complete train wreck. Cried after the hole. I do remember that. But you learn from that.
Yeah.
Still left a scar, obviously.
Okay.
But I would say those are kind of that moment. Still occasionally creeps in my mind.
Gotcha.
Even though again, Young age, but it left an impression.
Hey, that's totally fair. I would, if I hit 4 shots straight into the water, that would definitely be there for me.
Yeah, I think I had a 12 in the hole. It was awesome. The car was 3, so had some birdies to make on the back 9. So.
Okay, so this one, we're going to go good. You and 3 other people can go play golf. They can be professional athletes, professional golfers, celebrities. Who's in your foursome?
Wow, now that's a great question. I wish you would have given me that before this.
That's my bad. I should have prepped you on that.
I should have prepped me on that one, so that's a tough one. Wow, 3 other people to play golf with. Jeepers creepers, that's good. I would probably say I would love to play golf with Freddie Couples.
Freddie Couples.
Freddie Couples would be absolutely dynamite to play golf with. Such an easygoing guy. Obviously, I've heard all the stories. Super fun to be around. Wow. Other professional athletes that
It can be celebrity. It can be anyone, yeah.
Well, celebrities, I mean, yeah, that's a little different in that regard. I would probably say, you know, I don't know if he plays golf, but if he did play golf, I would love to play with Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, okay, yeah, that'd be a good one.
All-time favorite celebrities. I don't think Jay plays golf, so...
We can throw him in the... It's your ideal foursome. It's yours, yeah.
I would definitely enjoy playing golf with him a lot because I do enjoy him. Wow. So let me just see. So I got one celebrity. I got one
Freddie.
golfer,
You got Jay. And you got one more.
I got one more. I would probably... Wow. This is getting to be a good question because I know I'm missing somebody. I know I'm completely missing somebody. So let's pick... Jeepers creepers. Man. How about let's go with Adam Thielen.
I like it. Yeah. Okay.
Adam Thielen's a big golfer.
He's a big golfer, yeah.
He'd be fun to play with.
I think it's a good balance.
Yeah,
it's a good balance.
Yeah, so that gives you a little football, little
celebrity, little pro golf.
Yeah,
sounds like a fun group. Okay,
it is. I think it's a very fun group.
Okay, so we did that one.
If Jay couldn't play, I could probably find another celebrity.
Okay, well, hey, I don't want to have to run you too hard on
Tom
that
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Okay,
Tom
perfect.
Hanks played golf.
Yeah,
I think he would absolutely be one of my guys.
Perfect. Okay, so last question then. Okay. What is your #1 sales tip?
Be yourself.
Perfect.
I think honestly, you just have to be yourself. Be who you are. Cherish your style. Embrace your style. If you're like me and you talk too much, it's okay. Got to read the room though.
Yeah.
Got to know when to shut her down. But no, I think if you're yourself, I think that's the separator, right?
Yeah.
People have to buy into you because really they're not just buying the product.
Yeah.
They're buying you.
Yeah.
And if you have passion for that product and you're excited about selling it, selling's emotional. I always say that. I really do believe selling's emotional. And you really want to get the opportunity to let people see who you are, and that creates trust. And if you have trust, people have faith in you. And again, I think all those dominoes kind of fall in your favor. But being yourself is
nice.
important.
Well, hey, with that, we're done. We'll definitely have you back on because I feel like we're what, 40 is a 45-minute long interview, and I think we've only scratched the surface.
I thought it was 4 to 5. That's
so
a lot.
We'll definitely have you back on later to talk about a whole mess of other things. But more than anything, thanks for being a great dad, a great first guest, and it's been great, man. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in to the first episode of Open Mic. It was great to kind of run through it. We're going to get better every week. We're going to keep learning a lot of stuff every week. Like I said, this is about documenting the process and really improving and taking what we're learning and putting it out in front of the world for hopefully the betterment of everyone else who could be going through something similar or is just looking to learn new things. So we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Looking forward to having you guys listen, whether it's through the podcast, watch on YouTube, or maybe you're stumbling upon this clip on social media. But more than anything, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next week.